Doing a quick response that probably won't be quick. And this whole thing of defining words, and the fact that I mean I didn't really. I mean, we all think we understand what words mean, and I mean I guess I certainly didn't appreciate that there'd be so many definitions of these words. I mean, you have intelligence, and you have wisdom, and you have knowledge, you have truth. So when I was speaking of intelligence, I don't think I was speaking of something you can turn on or off. It's always there. It is a running program. And as I've tried to analogize before, I mean that as I see how the brain works, I separate. There's two distinct brains. We are of two minds. There are two distinct brains. There's this subjective, emotional, feeling person, brain, whatever, software running that has very ambiguous definitions, in that the emotions aren't detailed. They're a feeling. The feeling can be sort of in between, but it's what it is. Complex theoretical meaning. It has what you feel. You feel it or you don't feel it. And then we have this thinking software, this thinking mind that's constantly running also. They're both constantly running. And the thinking mind is full of knowledge, full of acquired bits of wisdom. You know, these it's almost, I would, instead of analogizing it to pulling levers, and you have to pull the levers. It's more like you spend your whole life pulling these levers. And each lever is a new bit of information. You acquire the knowledge that all men are created equal, for example, and it's a lever. It's a piece of knowledge. It is registered into the machine as a fact, as something that now all future thinking and all future creation of wisdom and knowledge will be dependent on. It will be built on that pulled lever. It is now part of any future calculation. And in your life, you spend a lifetime filtering the information, the input, all the stuff that comes in, and you're constantly filtering it, and then you're constantly drawing conclusions. You're constantly pulling new levers that say that now narrow the software's focus, that now refine it, and so then the second lever might be, you know, because all men are created equal, my service of my needs theoretically is no more important than the service of some other person's needs. That I can no longer live as a selfish organism because I have the knowledge that my pain is as valuable as my neighbor's pain, and that if I can do something to fix theirs, then I have that obligation. That there's no difference between these entities, and if I'm going to feel the need to fix myself, I sort of have an obligation to help fix my neighbor. And so that becomes what we might call empathy, or some other more romantic terminology, but it's basically a piece of intelligence. It's a piece of knowledge, a piece of wisdom, a piece of defined flow in your head, in your mind. And you know, for me, another one of the fundamental objective is the fact that we have to recognize that we have this subjective mind, this conditioning from nature and from environment, these feelings, these emotions. They aren't this careful lever pulling process. The process that creates those like chocolate ice cream or vanilla ice cream is not theoretical and intelligent and wise. It is just nonsense, that process. And so understanding that we have this this influence out there, this emotion, this feeling, which is incredibly powerful. I don't mean to diminish it. It's the only thing, that's what motivates us, is this feeling. So I'm not diminishing it. I'm just saying that we can't give that. We can't give our organs, our digestive system, our other parts of us precedent over our intelligence. Our intelligence must come first. That's that's the source of knowledge and wisdom that has credibility. Our organs do not. Our other organs. Well, anyway, it's really important to recognize that we. I guess for me, it's like if a person is stumbling over that, I can understand why they can't understand a thing I'm talking about, because you really have to understand us as this natural animal in possession of this completely separate, this completely bizarre, almost unnatural intelligence. In the maze, we have the intelligence to step out of it. An electron microscope. I mean, it's so much more powerful when applied through its own mechanisms, unperverted by subjective want, subjective need. If we allow it to be enslaved by our selfish disposition, our personal identity that needs feeding, well then then intelligence is just going to be used as a weapon. It's just going to be, it has no point. But the idea that you turn it on and off is just, it needs to be built. A hard process. A lot of, you have to put in some time to become. One day you don't just say, yeah, I'm going to be intelligent today, and all of a sudden all this knowledge will, I mean, Charles Darwin wrote a very sophisticated and very complex book outlining something that seems pretty obvious, but I mean, he had to meticulously detail it to give the knowledge credibility, and that's sort of what we have to do with our own minds. It takes time to be able to pull that lever decisively, to draw the real conclusions you need to draw. But I mean, to me, a fundamental one of those levers is you have to recognize that there is a distinction. We are two, and we are a feeling entity, and although the two are interacting in the same white space or whatever in our minds, in this thing we call enough of the right levers throughout our life, there'll be enough discipline in that interaction that the subjective, the animal, won't be able to corrupt the knowledge. And but we're all vulnerable to it. I mean, we all have moments where we attempt to rationalize the truth to fit what we feel about something. If we like it, we want to find reason to like it. If we hate it, we want to find a reason to hate it. And so I'm not saying that these two things can ever be perfectly separated, but I'm just saying that is the objective. Once you have pulled that lever that recognizes your vulnerability to enslaving your intelligence to the worst part of you rather than the best part of you, it becomes a lot simpler. You can be. That's what eliminating the pollution, of your knowledge base, of the levers you have pulled. To eliminate any pollution by the subjective side of you that wishes things to be true or wants things to be true. And so that's how I define the words, and there's no real way to have a conversation if we don't have the same definition of words. And so I guess somewhere through this process we're going to have to agree on whose vocabulary we're going to use, because we obviously see it differently. Each one of us has a unique